So it's time to do the 2022 starter kit, which happens to have arena codes, which one of my friends recently started playing arena after seeing I had an arena account, and um, I beat her when we play physical Magic. You know, because my decks are supposedly too strong, so she wants to play online. Um, each deck comes with a foil, and then the rest of the deck's inside a plastic. So for the blue-white deck, the foil was Welcoming Vampire. It's a 2/3 creature, a vampire for 2 in the plains. Has flying. Whenever one or more other creatures with power 2 or less enter the battlefield under your control, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. So, I mean, you get a 2/3 flyer with the draw ability if you're playing more or other creatures with power 2 or less. Extraction Specialist. It's a 3/2 creature, a human rogue for 2 in the plains, has lifelink. When Extraction Specialist enters the battlefield, return target creature card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. This creature can't attack or block for as long as you control Extraction Specialist. So kind of a trade-off. You get a 3/2 lifelink, which is nice, and you get a creature mana value 2 or less back from your graveyard. The drawback to getting the creature back from the graveyard to the battlefield is you can't attack or block with it. But if you get something like Blood Artist, that'll trigger off your creatures dying, or maybe something that triggers. Well, this is blue-white, so you wouldn't have Blood Artist in it, but if you had something that was triggering off enter the battlefield or death triggers, you could get benefits off the creature on the battlefield without attacking or blocking. Dream Shacklegeist. It's a 3/1 creature, a spirit for 1 and 2 islands. It has flying. At the beginning of combat on your turn, choose up to 1. Tap target creature, or target creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. So the second one kind of sounds like either detain or stun counter, just worded slightly different, because obviously the stun counter gets removed unless you have something to remove counters before your untap phase where it would get removed. Hullbreaker Horror. It's a 7/8 creature, Kraken Horror for 5 and 2 islands. It has flash. The spell can't be countered. Whenever you cast a spell, choose up to 1. Return target spell you don't control to its owner's hand, or return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. So yeah, you know, if you're returning something to your opponent's hand, they're forced to either pay the mana to replay the, you know, card or choose something else they want to play. And, you know, it's a 7/8 on the battlefield, so, you know, might cost a little bit, but seems alright. Consuming Tide, the sorcery for 2/2 islands. Each player chooses not a non-land permanent they control. Return all non-land permanents not chosen this way to their owner's hand. Then you draw a card for each opponent who has more cards in their hand. So, I mean, kind of a board wipe in a way, but not really because you're sending stuff to, you know, people's hands versus to the graveyard, but then forces people to spend mana to replay everything. The potential drawback to this card would be if you don't have something to give you no maximum hand size, you're potentially discarding whatever you can't play because, you know, you don't have enough mana. Unholy Officiant. It's a 1/2 creature, a vampire cleric for planes, has vigilance, and you can pay 4 in the planes, put a 1/1 counter on Unholy Officiant. I mean, a 1/2 is a keyword in this case. Vigilance for 1 mana is about on par. 5 to put a 1/1 counter on it kind of seems underwhelming. There's instant sorceries, other abilities that could put a counter on for cheaper. In this case, there's 2 copies of this guy. And then we have Backup Agent. It's a 1/1 creature, a human citizen for 1 in the plains. Whenever Backup Agent enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. Okay, so we were just talking about how expensive, you know, 5 is to put a 1/1 counter on it. This guy entering the battlefield does the same thing with no mana cost other than playing the creature, and the enter the battlefield trigger from casting the creature does the legwork for you. 3 copies, a Backup Agent. Wretched Throng. It's a 2/1 creature, a zombie horror for 1 in an island. Whenever Wretched Throng dies, you may search your library for a card named Wretched Throng, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. And there's 3 copies of him, so the first 2, if they die, you're searching for another one, but once the third one dies, unless you have a way to shuffle your graveyard and back into your library, the third one's just gonna search your library, you're not gonna find anything, and then you're just really, oh, the, you know, next draw is gonna be different. Inspiring Overseer. It's a 2/1 creature, Angel Cleric for 2 in the plains. Flying. When Inspiring Overseer enters the battlefield, you gain a life and draw a card. I feel like I have this in at least 1 or 2 decks that have white. Oh, somehow the cards got out of order because it goes back to the last Wretch's Throng, so that means there's 4 of them. And then after the last Wretch's Throng, there's 2 more Inspiring Overseers. I don't know how they got mixed up. You would think they would keep all the same cards together. Brute Suit. It's a 4/3 artifact vehicle for 3. Has Vigilance. Crew 1. The reminder text says tap any number of creatures you control with total power 1 or more. This vehicle becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. I mean, vehicles are cool in a sense because they're artifacts until you crew them, and then they go from just an artifact to an artifact creature, so they can't be targeted as a creature until you crew them. But the drawback is you have to tap creatures to essentially turn an artifact into a creature. So unless you have some meaningless creature, in this case you only need a crew 1, so if you had a 1/1 with no keywords, tap that to make this artifact a 4/3 with Vigilance. Yeah, I mean, but if you didn't have any meaningless cards, if like everything was like a 3/3 Death Touch, a 4/2 Flyer, 4/4 was Trample, a 5/5 was Lifelink. Like if you have like bigger guys with keywords on them, you're probably not gonna tap one of them to get another, like a 4/3 with Vigilance. Only one of those. Seven Tail Mentor. It's a 2/3 creature, a Fox Samurai for 3 in the plains. When Seven Tail Mentor enters the battlefield or dies, put a 1/1 counter on target creature or vehicle you control. And 3 copies of him. Storm Rider Spirit. It's a 3/3 creature, a spirit for 4 on an island. It has flash and flying, which a 3/3 with 2 keywords for 5 is just kind of mid to maybe a little sad for the mana price. 2 copies of it. I mean, yes, if your opponent goes to attack with their flyers, you can flash in a flyer to block but otherwise I almost feel like there may or may not be something better for 5 mana. Nibel Gast Beguiler. It's a 2/5 creature, a spirit for 4 on the plains. You can pay a plains and tap this guy to tap target creature. I mean, it's a 2/5 for 5. That's kind of mediocre. And then you could pay a plains and tap this guy to tap a creature. Like, yes, it's nice to tap creatures. If you don't want to deal with one of your opponent's creatures, great. But I feel like there's cheaper ways to do that. 2 copies of this guy. Serpent Ambush. It's an instant for 1 in an island. Until end of turn, target creature becomes a blue serpent with base power and toughness of 5/5. So you could make one of your smaller guys a 5/5. So if your opponent has, a 4/4 and you have a 1/1 and they go to attack you with their 4/4, oh look, my 1/1 becomes a 5/5 on good block, your 4/4, killing it. My guy lives. Goes back to being a 1/1 after, and your 1/1 survives. So kind of a tricky way of, you know, dealing with opponent's creatures. 3 copies. Kill shot. It's an instant for 2 in the plains. Destroy target attacking creature. There's 2 copies of this. Oh, okay, so with how many cards we just went through, there's another copy of Brute Suit, which seems like it was, a lot of cards in between. You would have thought they would have kept it together. Fading Hope. It's an instant for an island. Return target creature to its owner's hand. If its mana value was 3 or less, scry 1. The reminder text says, look at the top card of your library. You may put that card on the bottom of your library. 2 copies of that. Kind of reminds me of Opt in a way, as far as doing 2 different things, one of which is scrying, although Opt allows you to draw versus returning a card to its owner's hand. So situationally, Fading Hope or Opt might be better depending on, again, situationally. Then we have Tranquil Cove. There's 3 copies of this. Tranquil Cove enters the battlefield tapped. When Tranquil Cove enters the battlefield, you gain a life. Taps for plains or a mountain. Oh, and then it goes 1 plains, and then the 4th Tranquil Cove. So, again, just somehow cards got shifted around at the factory. Maybe they intended it to be that way, but it seems a little odd. Um, 12 basic planes, and there are a total of 3 different artworks. And then there are 11 islands with 3 different artworks. And then there's showing attacking and blocking on one side and what to do on your turn on the other. And then, of course, the arena code that my friend's gonna want. And then I will cover the green-red deck at some point this week, along with maybe some Pokemon-related content also. So thanks and have a good day.